man, it's such a beautiful song. I think this is the best thing he ever did. Of like any song he ever wrote, anything he ever covered. I mean, this is just blows everything away in my opinion. So this is the only Stevie song I've ever learned. I learned Little Wing, but this is more, that was a Jimmy thing. He did his own little spin on, but it's just so pretty. And I really wanted to teach the whole thing, but man, it would take like 2 hours. I mean, just doing these few licks is going to take probably close to a half hour alone, right? So I didn't want to teach the whole thing. I thought I'd just do some of the signature licks that are really cool that you can move into other keys. And yeah, so we'll start out with doing the majority of the intro here. We're going to be doing this little hammer slide lick, and John Mayer kind of made this famous again. He uses this in Gravity, Waiting on the World to Change, and it's just a major scale thing, major pentatonic thing. So the theory of it, we're starting in box 5 of the relative major, right? So we're playing out of E minor. We're in C sharp. And we're going to be here in box 5. And we're just going to rake in to the B string on the 7th fret. Hammer on to 9. Kind of keep the fleshy part of your hand down in front of the bridge. So you get that. And hammer on to 9 and then slide into 12. You can give it as much vibrato as you want. I don't try to copy his vibrato because that's his thing, right? And then you just hammer on 9 to 12, shake it. And then we're going to hammer on 9 to 12 again, slide into 14. And then we're going to hammer on 12 to 14 and slide into 17. And from here, we're going to do this thing where kind of arch your ring finger over, dead the high E on 17, fret B, right? Hit that dead note first, and then pull off 17 to 14, and slide 14 to 12. So you can practice it real slow, like, and then try to get it in one fluid motion. Hear that click at the bottom? Alright, it's real subtle, but it's those subtle things that make all these guys so great and sound so awesome, right? So after you get that, you're just going to go 14, 12 twice. And his dynamics on everything is real specific. It's all, everything's just, 1 minute he's got the softest touch, the next he's got like an iron of a right hand, right? So you can mimic that as much as you want. And then from there, we do what I think is the coolest lick. So we're going to be hybrid picking, right? Every note we pick, we're going to pop the high E string with it with our finger. So you're going to have D on 14, bar G, B, and E on 12, and then hit the high E on 12 with each note. So you got D14, 12 high E, and then we're going to go 12 to 14 on G with that high E in it. And then this next lick, you can play it a few different ways. I like to slide into 15 and just pull off. But you could slide into 15, slide back to 14, and pull off to 12. Whatever you want to do, right? So after you get that, hit 14 G twice with 12 on E with it. And then get 12 G and B and bend down. And then get D on 14 3 times. And then hammer on 14 to 16 on A. Alright, so that whole part you get. Alright, and then we're going to go. He does this cool major minor thing. Alright, so you're going to go D on 14, then 12 to 14 G, and then bend up, bring it down, pull off to 12, and then hit 14 on D. Alright, I think it's twice. 3 times, yeah. Then we're going to do this cool major lick. Slide in 10 to 11 on D, to 14 on D, and then we're going to slide in 12 to 13 on G, get 14 on G, and then slide in 12 to 13 again, and catch 14 on D. You could add in the D on these slides and go, or just do it once. He might do that, I can't remember, but you can throw that in if you want. Alright, so you get now we're going to go D on 14 to A on 14. Okay, and then you go D to A 14, slide back 12 to 11 on A, and then get 14 on A, and then get 11 to 14 on D. Alright. Now we're going to walk up 12, 13, 14 on G. When you get to 14, bend. And then get B and E on 12. And then 15 to 12 on B. And then we're going to go 14 on E. And then hammer on pull off 13 to 12 on E. And then go 15 to 12 on B. And then 15 on E. Hammer on and off again on 13 to 12. Okay. And then end it by going 15B to 15 or 12E. B on 15 to 12 on E. Then we're going to go B to E on 12. Then we're going to do another little rake back lick, right? So deaden the E and B with your ring finger, and then hit G on 15 and slide into 14. And then we're going to bend down G and B on 12. So you get that kind of throaty sound, right? Alright, so you have and then just finish it by going 14 on D. And then we're going to do these double stop things. So you go 14 on D, 12 G and B to 14 G and B, then bend up 14, then bring it down and pull off to 12. And then go 14 D to 14 G and B, back to 14 D, and then bar G and B on 12, hammer on to 13 on B, back to 14 on D. And we'll just pull off 14 to 12 on D, and then 14A, and then 12 to 14 on D, and you can just hit your thumb on 12 on E. Alright, so that whole little part, you get alright, and we'll just stop there. And then he does this cool thing, and this is a really useful lick. And it doesn't sound like a Stevie lick, right? So like say you're doing a blues shuffle in A. It's a good way to start out the phrase. You could just go, you know, and nobody knows it's a Lenny lick, right? So you bend up, or not bend, you slide in B and E 10 to 12. And then and B on 14 to G and B on 12. Kind of bend down 12 slightly. Then you go 14, D, A to D. And then you just finish it bending down on 12. Alright, then the next lick we do this cool double stop thing. So we're going to bar B and E on 12, hammer on to 14 on B, and then hit 12 by itself, and then slide in 12 to 14, and then pick 12 by itself. And then we're going to go to 7 and 9, bar B and E on 7, hammer on to 9 on B, and then we're going to hammer on twice. Actually, it's just, well, then hammer on again, then hammer on, pull off, and then we're going to go 9 on G to B and E on 7, back to 9 on G, right? So the phrasing is, so you have, okay. And then we're going to hammer on 9 to 11 on D, and then pick 9, 11 on G. And then bar D and G on 9, hammer on to 11 twice. Alright, then we're going to do a BB slide off, 17 on the E. Then we're going to run right down the first box of E minor pentatonic. So you bend up 15, then hit 15 straight, and then 12 on E, then 15 to 12 on B, and then bend up 14, bring it down, pull off to 12, and then hit D twice, and then slide off of 11 on D. Alright, and then we'll finish that with this little box 5 to box 1 kind of minor hammer on lick. So you'll have D or E on 12 to A on 10 to 12, and then slide in 12 to 14 on A, and then hammer on 12 to 14 on D, and then go GB to 14D twice, and then 14 GB to D, and then bend down 12 a little bit, and then pull off 14 to 12 on D. So you have a, and then go 12, 14, and bend down, right? So real slow. Alright, and then what else is there? The last lick is a really cool major lick that he does where he ends it. All the drums fade out. Alright, so on that one, we walk right down the major pentatonic. 12-9, B and E, E to B. Then we slide in 12 to 11 on G. And then we get 9 on G to 11 on D. And then we're going to slide in 11 to 13 on G. Catch B on 12 and let it ring. And do that twice. And then you're going to slide back 13 to 11 and pull off to 9. And get 11 on D. Alright. And then we're going to go 9 to 11 on G, and then bar G and B on 9, hammer on to 11 on G, then 9 G to 11 D, okay, then bar D and G on 9, hammer on to 11 D. Then we're going to hammer on, pull off a D on 11, and catch A on 11. Okay, and then from here, we're going to bar A and D on 9, hammer on to 11 on A, and then hammer on, pull off real quick, and then slide back from 9 to 7 on A, and then pick 9 on A, and then hammer on 7 to 9 on E, and then 7 on A, and then hit the low E, right? So it's slide things. You're going to bar B and E on 12, hammer on to 14B, back to 12, and then bar B and E, slide from 17 to 19, and then pick 17, and then go back to 12, slide into 14, and pick 12. We're going to do this little Jimmy thing. So you have 11 on G, 12 on B, hammer on to 13 G, and then hammer on, pull off, catch D on 14, back to 11, 12, back to D on 14. Alright. And then we're going to hammer on 14 to 16 on A. Then we're going to bar D and G on 14, hit them together, hammer on to 16 on D. Walk that shape up to the A and D string, bar A and D on 14, hammer on to 16 on A. Do that twice. Then he hits the harmonics on D, G, and B. You can do a dive bomb if you have a whammy bar. You can also bend behind the nut if your guitar is capable of that. Or you can push in with your left hand. There's a little trick. Some people say it's bad for guitars, but I haven't ruined one yet. So push in with your right hand in the horn of the guitar, and with your left hand, push into the neck, right? You know, the harder you do it, you can do it back here too and get a different sound. Probably easier to do that. And then from there, he does this cool little major minor thing. He's going to rake up. He's going to slide into 9 on A as he rakes up all the strings to the A string. And then get 7 on D. Slide into 7 on A. Get D on 5. And then slide into 9 on E. Get 7 on A to open E. And then the ending harmonics are E to B, and then B and E together on 5. Alright, so that's that whole part. So that's everything. So it's a lot of fun stuff. Practice moving these around into other keys, right? Just try to take all these and just mess with them, you know, like this one. You know, move it into a different key, like move it into A. You know, and that way you can incorporate it into your playing better when you do that. But that's it. Just practice slow, have fun.